What's up guys, Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today's video, we are covering a simple tip to help you catch more fish in the fall. Today we're talking why adding blades is key to catching more fish in the fall. Every fall, as the water temps drop with the cooler nights, the cooler air temperatures, the bass are on the move. They're on the move chasing shad balls. I got a ball over here right off this point flickering on the surface. The bait fish are on the move, the shad are on the move. Whether it's up the creek channels, the backs of creek arms, across shallow flats, the backs of bays, backs of pockets, those shad are on the move and the bass are right on their tail. You know, these cooler nights with that fall creeping in, it's some of the most exciting fishing of the entire year. You have active fish, you have active life in the lake, and you have bass that want to eat. They're chasing these bait fish. I'm always scanning the horizon looking for bait fish to get blown up out of the water, or blow ups, or little flickers, or birds diving, that sort of stuff, because the lake comes alive, the shad are on the move, and the bass are right behind them, and that is when the blade really comes into play. So today we're going to talk about adding flash, adding vibration, and why it's key to success fishing in the fall. I'm going to break down some of my favorite baits, some little tips and tricks for you. But adding a blade, adding some flash and some vibration to your baits this time of the year is key. So in the fall, like I said, it's all about bait fish. The shad are moving into the creeks, the backs of coves, across those flats. The bass are schooling behind them, pushing them, and they're feeding around as much. I mean, sometimes these shad balls are so vast. I mean, there's tens of thousands of real bait fish swimming around. You know, sometimes bait balls are as big as my boat, right? And you just see the bass just blowing up through them. These fish are feeding up. They're hungry. They're aggressive. But adding that flash, adding vibration helps those bass key in on your bait instead of the thousands or tens of thousands of real baits. We want to get their attention. We want to get their attention away from the real thing to eat our thing, and adding a blade with that extra flash, extra vibration is really how you do it, especially this time of the year. The flash, adding that extra flash, adding that extra vibration really helps those fish key in on your bait. So we're going to talk about baits here shortly, but having that flash, right? A willow blade is probably the perfect blade to mimic a bait fish, whether it's a silver side or a threadfin shad or something like that. Adding that willow blade or throwing a bait that has a willow blade will definitely increase your chances of having a good day out on the water. With that, you get the vibration, right? Sometimes we get late storms, we get murked up water. Adding that flash helps those fish see your bait. Adding that vibration helps those fish feel your bait. With that lateral line, even if it's in murky or stained water, having that thumping of the blade spinning helps those fish feel it and track down your bait. So adding that flash, adding that vibration is super, super important this time of the year. You know, fall bass, they spread out. You know, they could be over here one day, they could be over here the next day, back on that rock pile the next day. So adding that flash and vibration allows you to fish fast and find those active fish. And they're gonna change, they're gonna be on the move. You know, like I said, one day they're here, next day they're half mile over there, the next day they're over there, but you always have to be paying attention. But fishing these baits, we're gonna talk about, for the most part, you can fish fast, we can find those aggressive fish, and then once you find them, having that blade, whether it's on an underspin or a spinnerbait or an A-rig, bunch of bait just scattered right here, a chatterbait, adding that flash, adding that vibration really keys into that area and lets those fish find your bait out of the tens of thousands of real shad. So let's talk about the baits themselves. The easiest way to mimic a school of bait fish is throwing a spinnerbait, okay? Always, 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 for me, my opinion, I am always throwing a willow blade. A willow blade best mimics the vibration, the flash, the size of a threadfin shad or a silver side, okay? They're not too overbearing, but having a compact spinnerbait, this is the Nichols, I'll link it all down below in the video description. I keep getting distracted. There's bait popping over here. Anyways, a compact spinnerbait, that's that little Nichols. I'll link it down below in the video description. You can see it has painted blades. It's flash, it's vibrant. It looks like a nice little school of shad. But a spinnerbait, especially with those willow blades, mimics a little school of baitfish really, really well. It is fairly weedless. You can, if you find yourself fishing around brush piles, you can fish this right through it, right over the top. As we get into fall, we start having those grass lines die down. So if you find a nice, vibrant, lively grass line, being able to fish this fast along it is lights out. But a spinnerbait does extremely well mimicking a school of shad or baitfish, and you can fish it all over. It's fairly weedless. You know, one of the worst things you can do when you pull up to a spot and you see them blowing up on baitfish shallow, throw your bait up there and get hung up. And now you have to go up there and you spook all the baitfish, you spook all the bass, and you've literally messed up your entire fishing for that area. So fishing a spinnerbait, like I said, I might run a trailer hook on there. Sometimes I don't. Depends on how they're eating it. But running a spinnerbait through there, it's that single hook. It's fairly weedless. You can burn it. Rod twitches, get that thing to flare out, get those blades to flare out and then tight back in, spinning, spiral back in tight. But adding a little bit of cadence changes to your spinnerbait will help generate those bites, get more of those trigger, you know, trigger those reaction bites. But a spinnerbait is awesome this time of the year. I mean, that's the #1 bait right there with those blades, those nice willow blades on there. Again, mimicking that little school, that little bite-sized school of shad. All right, next up, a chatterbait. Specifically this guy right here. This is the Elite Evo Tungsten Chatterbait by Z-Man. You can see, let me cut this off real quick. You can see what's different about this bait is it has painted blades, right? Electric shad blade. That tungsten head, smaller profile. You get a real nice startup speed with that blade. You get a smaller head size being tungsten. You're ultra sensitive being tungsten. It just, that vibration really transmits through that line and into the rod, into your hand. But this little guy right here, that's that tungsten chatterbait paired up with the Chatter Shad by Z-Man. Okay, this is a 4.5 size. They come in 3.5 size as well, in case you want to downsize your profile, kind of match the hatch, small, you know, shrink down your chatterbait. But talking about the chatterbait, I like this specifically. Again, it's got the glitter blades. It looks really, really bait fishy. Got that electric shad color trailer on there, that Chatter Shads. Again, Elastec. I just heard another blow up. Guys, I swear it happens every time. That is an awesome, awesome bait to be throwing right now. Now with the chatterbait, again, a lot like the spinnerbait, it is fairly weedless. So if they're not eating that spinnerbait up shallow, you can throw this chatterbait. Ooh, we got a school of bait fish fleeing. Gonna be some blowups here shortly. You can throw this thing extremely shallow. A lot of times these fish will push extremely shallow and hold those bait fish, pin them up against the shoreline. So you can throw this chatterbait up there. You can burn it back. You can burn, pause, lift your rod tip, change that cadence, get that chatterbait to hunt, right? Instead of just being on that straight to you direction, you can blow it out and get it to change directions, and that will really trigger those bites. But adding that flash, adding that vibration is huge, especially if the fish are in a certain area. You know, these bait balls are moving. Sometimes the bass are behind them moving too. Sometimes the bass are sitting on the key piece of structure, whatever it is. Maybe it's a chunk rock section, maybe it's an isolated boulder or a brush pile, but they're sitting on that or in that, around that. And then as that bait ball kind of meanders through and comes close, that's what triggers those fish into eating. So if there's no bait fish around, throwing your bait up there, getting it near that boulder, if you will, and you know, fluttering it or ripping it, getting real aggressive, getting that bait to change directions and speeds can really trigger those fish into eating when that bait ball isn't necessarily right there, right? But this time of the year, I'm looking for the dinner bell. I'm looking for the blow-ups. I'm looking for those fleeing shad. It's driving me crazy watching all this stuff go on behind me. But that means if those shad are anxious and fleeing and spooking, that means one thing: something is chasing them, and more often than not, it's bass and big bass. So when those bass are in that feeding aggressive mood, they'll eat a lot of stupid things, you know, but doing the best to mimic the baitfish size, flash, vibration, looks, color, sound, all that stuff will help you guys get more bites and big bass right now. Next one up. An underspin, right? Kind of goes without saying. Adding a little flash, adding a little vibration to your favorite finesse swim bait. This guy right here, this is our tactical mini underspin. We developed this for a couple years, really dialing it in, getting at longer drop arms so that that blade will actually spin freely and clear the belly of almost all finesse swim baits. More importantly, has a stout hook in it, a little heavier wire hook in there, a 2/0 heavy wire hook, and you're not gonna bend it out on a big fish. So if you're in the middle of fish blowing up, ooh, the bait fish are getting active. If you're in the middle of fish blowing up and you throw this underspin in there and then dunk, and all of a sudden it's a 5, a 6, a 9 pounder, you don't have to worry about that hook bending out. Now here's the key, a little tip for you guys. When we designed this underspin, we wanted to have a bunch of different sizes. For the most part, if you're just gonna pick one, little 1/4 ounce. 1/4 ounce head, that's that little mare. Again, I'll link all this stuff down below in the video description. That is day in and day out my go-to size. I can cast the 1/4 ounce fairly far. Again, it's got that same stout hook in there. Don't have to worry about bending that out. But that is an awesome fish producing bait this time of the year. Those of you guys that have done a lot of fishing this time of the year understand that a lot of times they come up schooling just out of reach, right? So with our top water, we're trying to reach just a little bit farther. With our baits, we're trying to reach a little bit farther. This guy right here is a 3/8 ounce head. So 3/8 ounce versus, well, here's a little 1/8 ounce head. You can see the difference. I can cast this a lot farther. So when I want to reach out and touch those fish that are just out of reach with the 1/4 ounce or the 1/8 ounce or 3/16 ounce, that little guy's paired up on that little swammer. Having that heavier head allows me two things. It allows me to, one, get out past that commotion, that boil or that activity, and then I can fish it fast. I can burn this thing without, I have a bait tied on, dang it. They're literally waking, chasing the bait right here. I can burn this thing without having that blade blow out, without having that swim bait blow out. And again, these fish are active. You want to get right in there when these fish are active. So being able to cast farther and fish faster without having any issues with that bait swimming is key. So a 3/8 ounce. If you're just gonna get one, get a 1/4 ounce. That's the most universal size. It fits a lot of really the most popular finesse size swim baits. You know, that like 2.5 to say 3.5 inch size. But if you want to have a bait you can cast a little bit farther and fish it a little bit faster, get it down deeper a little bit quicker if you need be, or if you need to, having that 3/8 ounce head is awesome. Now this isn't ideal for this bait. This is 50-pound braid on a St. Croix. What is this? This is 7.3 heavy, extra fast. I just got bit. I think it was a white bass. But again, I'm just fishing this through this school right here because if you guys can see behind me, there's big V's on the surface, which is a single shad. It's a single bait fish fleeing, and there's boils going all around. So if that happens a little bit closer, I have a bait now ready for them. So the underspin is key. Just got bit. know if you guys saw. Oh, I pulled it down. Having an underspin is key this time of the year. Again, having that 3/8 ounce allows you to catch, cast farther and fish faster. I think that was a white bass, but there's definitely some largemouth in the mix. Oh, I swear, every time I'm sitting here trying to do a video, not here, but every time I'm doing a video, there's always activity. So the underspin, 3/8 ounce, again, allows you, again, this isn't ideal, it's a 50-pound braid, 7.3, was that extra heavy I said? Heavy, extra fast. Allows you to chuck this thing. I almost spooled that SLX, but again, it just allows you to reach out to cast past you. That's another key tip. Top water, I'm trying to throw right into the boil, right into it. Underspins and chatterbaits, I'm gonna throw it past and bring it into the boil if I can. If I'm throwing a bait like a spoon or something, I might throw it into the boil and let it fall through. But I want to be able to fish this thing right through that area. Gosh, do you guys see that? Just got hammered. I don't think they're largemouth, so I'll put this down. All right, so we talked about the underspin. We talked about the spinnerbait. 2 more for you, and then we'll talk about some little tips for you. Next up, the tail spin. Having that flash, adding that vibration, like I've talked about, I'm gonna beat this horse. It is so important. So like that situation I just talked about where they're blowing up and you wanna throw something down through them or they're a little bit deeper, this is the Daracoup by Jackal. It's one of the best, or if not the best, tail spins that we found on the market. It's heavy, it gets down. If you want, you can switch this out to a little willow blade. It's one of the tips we're going to talk about, switching out the blades on your baits. But just mimicking those bait fish better. That big Colorado does slow the fall, has a real big thump to it. But if you want a real tight, faster fall, faster vibration, maybe you guys can see that one. Adding that willow blade to it. But a tail spin can be fished one of 2 ways. I mean, it can be fished a lot of ways, but throwing out, chucking and winding just like you would your favorite underspin, or feathering it, hopping it up, letting it fall, hopping it up, letting it fall, because it's swimming up and then swimming down, swimming up, swimming down. That tail's just down there swimming, spinning, flashing, vibrating. It just adds all of that combination and what you're looking for. It works extremely well. So if you're on a highland reservoir, clear water, typically deeper, that tail spin is awesome. The other good tail spin is the Demiki. Again, I'll link it down below in the video description. It comes with a willow blade and that fishes extremely well as well. Now, last but not least, we're talking about blades. We're talking about fishing in the fall. A bladed A-rig. If you guys are A-rig or Alabama rig throwers, make sure you're throwing a rig with blades on it. This is our mini flex rig that we designed several years ago. Lighter wires, a lot more flex to it. We get real aggressive with it. The A-rig has been out of place since basically pre-spawn, maybe spawn time. Now we're adding it back into the arsenal, but we're making sure we're throwing blades on it. When we designed this, we put all the blades in the center so it looks like a ball of blades coming at you with the bigger baits on the outside, 3 dummies, and then 3 hooked baits. You gotta check your regulations, but make sure you're throwing a rig with some flash and some vibration. I get a lot more bites fishing this around creek channels, around bluffs, around backs of pockets, with a bladed rig versus the unbladed. The beauty about the A-rig is you could adjust your heads to fish super shallow. You could throw 1/8 ounce heads, 3 1/8 ounce heads on there, fish this thing up super shallow. You can throw some 1/2 ounce heads on there and fish it super deep out open water, out over open water on those fish that are chasing those shad balls. But if you're throwing an A-rig, make sure you're throwing blades, okay? Now, one tip I do want to talk to you guys about, you can see this is my box of spinnerbait blades. You can see I have all sorts of blades in here. Don't be afraid to tinker. One of my favorite baits or styles of baits to throw this time of the year, as you know, the grass is getting topped out. Maybe you have some water levels receding a little bit, puts that grass up on the surface. Again, we're looking to cover water. We're looking to fish fast. I like throwing some kind of frog with some feed on it, with some blades on it, some vibration, some sound. That's that spro. Here's the little teckle I've been holding up. What I do, I add bigger split rings, swivel, and then a bigger blade. Now I can fish this fast. It has a lot more commotion on the surface. It has a lot more sound. These are actually some painted blades. Again, I'll link this stuff down below in the video description, but taking your favorite spinnerbait blades and putting them on your frog will get you bites when you're not fishing, especially if you're fishing pressured fish. When you're fishing a frog, just like everybody else is, you know, it is what it is. When you can add some flash and some vibration, some different sound, that's what's key, and that's what will help you get more bites. Same thing on the spro right here. Instead of going with willows, this is a bluegill color frog. I went with some Colorados, but again, you can see I added, put some heavy duty spro power swivels on there, and then I put some bigger Colorado blades on there. Again, these things are going to clank when they're going through the water. They're going to add more vibration, more sound. Again, these fish are chasing. They're chasing in the grass. They're chasing along the grass. They're chasing over the grass. So when you're chucking and winding, this thing is just swimming, clacking. And when these fish are aggressive, they grenade it, they shark it. So don't be afraid to tinker with your baits, okay? But this time of the year, guys, I can't emphasize it enough. If you're not throwing some kind of blade, some kind of vibration, a bait with blades or vibration, you guys are missing out. You're not fishing to your full potential. This time of the year, those fish are wanting to feed up. They're looking for those bait balls. Adding blades to your baits will literally help you turn a crappy day into a good day of fishing. Guys, down below, I'll link all of my favorite products we talked about. We'll talk about the different swim baits and the trailers and all that stuff, some of the colors we liked. But if you don't get anything out of this video besides this, add a blade to your favorite technique, whether it's a swim bait, or you're throwing a chatterbait, or you love throwing an A-rig. Make sure you're throwing a bladed A-rig. You guys will fish. You guys will catch more fish, I promise you. As always, guys, we appreciate the support. If you like this video or learned something from this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Down below in the video description, I'll be sure to link all that stuff like I said. And as always, guys, we appreciate the support. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you guys on the next video.